Each morning, real setups are broken down with entry strategies and technical reasoning behind every trade. This is today's best trade setups with Verified Investing.
Welcome to today's top trade setups. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. The markets on Monday were absolutely crazy. We had some big bids. It looked like the markets were in recovery mode. A lot of stocks blew through some key technical resistance levels that I had mentioned. Fortunately, if you guys were in the live day trading with me, I went over Google. We took a nice gain on that. And then fortunately, we got out of that. Google is now trading up over $330. That is one of my trades today that I'm going to go over. So you want to stay tuned with that, as well as AVGO. That is close to a $400 even whole round number that I am looking to potentially short. First thing we want to do is go into AMD. I've been monitoring AMD for a while. Has this head and shoulders pattern still that has triggered. And now I have a downside target of around $182. It did get up to the $214.88 level that I had mentioned yesterday. This was a previous wide range red bar candle, previous gap fill. I was liking this for a potential short. I didn't enter this based on the time of day that it hit. Now look at where price action is currently trading. AMD is right at $270 in the pre-market. If it gets down to this low pivot at $195, this is looking like a good opportunity for a potential day trade long. I wouldn't look for more than about $1.50 to $2 on this AMD trade, knowing that $186.65 is a previous all-time high. If price action gets into this level, you should have a lot of buying pressure. It could go down to the wide range green bar candle at $184.55, but this is probably my max downside today, $186.65. If it starts closing below that on a 15-minute closing basis, I would stop out of that, knowing, look at this gap fill in the charts, $164.67. This is where AMD could eventually head down to. Once you get a stock that has been this extended to the upside, look at the move down. You would be picking this up for 40% of a discount. That is a steep haircut, $164.67. This is where I pick this up for a swing trade, knowing that there's additional support levels below this. SMH has this upsloping parallel channel that we've been tracking for some time. I was actually hoping that it would continue to push a little bit higher, get back to the lower end of the broken upsloping parallel channel. Now, here's the chart of this. Now it's continuing to fall a little bit in the pre-market. I had mentioned that the short level was $347.57 and never got there. Today, my long level on the SMH is $326.13. That was a gap fill that was left on Friday. And then the Monday open, as you can see, it had a nice bid. Once it gets back into this level, it is a gap fill, minor gap fill, because you didn't have a big continuation to the upside. But $326.13 is still a gap in the charts that needs to be filled. Once price action gets in there, it is likely to bounce. If it does start flushing there, you have this low pivot, similar to the price action of AMD at $315.04. But ultimately, I have a long downside target of $305.25. This is more of a swing trade basis for the SMH. But today, again, $326.13. If price action continues higher, I still have a short level at $347.57. Ultimately, I still love the broken upsloping parallel channel on the SMH. SNDK, I had mentioned that I had a targeted upside potential of a low pivot around $229.12. It got really close to that level. And then all of a sudden, after hours, it was mentioned that it was getting added to the S&P 500. SNDK can move. And now all of a sudden, it headed all the way above $250. It's trading at $231 right now. But look at the price action from the lows at $183. And then the addition to the S&P 500, look at this, $251. That's a 37% move to the upside. This was a retrace to this broken upsloping trend line that I had in the charts, which is why I was targeting the $252 level. Look at the pre-market. I'm going to go ahead and go to the 4-hour and then switch to the extended trading hours. Look at what happened. It got all the way up to $251.75, showing you that this wide range red bar candle was a lot of resistance. This is the power of the charts. Once you master the charts, you can get an idea of where price action is likely to retrace to, and then the pullback. So for me, I still have this $252.17 level because it got so close in the after hours yesterday. I'm not as interested. So on a 15-minute closing basis, I would stop out of this trade on SNDK. The other one we looked at was MU. I did have this low pivot right here at $218.03. Micron Technology just decided that it wanted to blow through this previous gap fill level and continue higher. So on a 15-minute closing basis, that would have been a nice stop out level to avoid any of the risk. $203.21, another wide range red bar candle. This is your first shortable level. And then you have this beautiful upsloping trend line. I got to zoom out in the charts and show you where this MU trend line comes from. This goes back to 2019. Secondary pivot area is at 2021. Now price action got above it, got rejected from that, got a nice pullback, confirmed below it. So now when price action gets back into this $231.21 level and then this upsloping trend line, you should get a pretty significant pullback from that. Once price action closes back above it, it could get to this upsloping trend line. This would be a retrace to the scene of the crime around $250, but that would be me for a max upside on MU. This is more of a swing trade basis where the $230.21 level short is a day trading level. You do have a gap in the charts similar to what's going on with the SMH at 207.52. If price action does fall into that area, that could be a great opportunity for a potential long play as well. AVGO, look at this price action. So it had news. Google had news that it's got its own AI chips now. AVGO is part of the chips sector that Google is going to be using for their chips. So AVGO is heading higher. It got up to $392, actually got up to $396 pre-market. What I'm looking at is a short at a pierce of $400. If AVGO gets up to this $400.30 level, I'm going to take a short. If price action gets above that, it could go to 410. So I would add every $3 higher on AVGO all the way up to $410. Dollar cost averaging on my way up and looking for a pretty decent pullback. I think we can get a pull back all the way back to $387. This is a previous all-time high. So that's where I would be looking to take my profits. Google, like I had mentioned yesterday, I did attack Google yesterday at $315. Took a good gain. Now look at where Google's trading, $331.45 in the pre-market. Got up to $332. If it gets up to $335, this is where I'm going to enter this for a day trade short with adding every $3 to $4 higher all the way up to $340. Adding a couple times on Google is kind of what I did yesterday. And so I would be willing to reattack that same kind of a setup on the Google chart. Looking for about a $4 to $5 pullback on Google. This is new, so it could be a sell the news event. Price action is heading a lot higher on Google. Now, if price action starts to sell off, because there's such big gaps in the charts now, there's not a lot of support on the way down, which means that price action can then continue to flush. Once some buyers are underwater, there could be additional selling pressure. You could actually get as low as $410 today on Google, $310 today on Google. It could be a pretty sizable pullback. The last chart I have for you is Nvidia. Nvidia is getting beat up on the back of the Google news. So my first long level gap fill in the charts is $170.29. So there are a couple different opportunities, a couple different long levels, a couple different short levels for you to take advantage of the trade setups. What I do in the live day trading room is I focus on one or two of the stocks that I'm currently looking at, whatever is going to get into my level the soonest, and I focus on that, removing my attention from the other ones. And that's how I choose to play the live day trading room and potential stocks. Once you get too spread out, the manageability of it can get a little bit diminished, and then you don't have your ad levels set up, and then your take profit can be a little wonky as well. So that's what I have for you. Thank you so much. If you guys are getting stuff out of this, please make sure you're sharing with your friends. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and ringing that bell so you can get notified every morning. Gareth Soloway is going to be going live in my trading game plan in less than 4 minutes. He's going to be talking about all the hype in the AI and what the potential Google news can actually say about the overall sector. And that's something you guys don't want to miss. So stay tuned. And we'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.